Ryan Brath here with GolfWRX, and welcome to the shop. And in this case, my whiteboard. Today I am explaining an often discussed but many times misunderstood measurement in club building, and that is the bottom bore to ground measurement, or BBTG for short. Well, what is it? It's actually very self-explanatory. It's the measurement from the bottom of the hosel bore to the imaginary line drawn on the bottom of the golf club to the ruler to measure the total length. So if you take this measurement and add the length of a golf shaft that has already been cut, you will get the final length. Now this is important because a lot of times people are trying a shaft in driver A and switching to another company, and all of a sudden the length changes. But you haven't actually physically changed the length of the golf shaft. What has actually changed is this measurement. This will affect the playing length of the golf club, and in some cases it will affect flex by a little bit. So let's look at this. Let's look at some drivers and show you how much of a difference this can make when you're building golf clubs. So now I'm going to demonstrate the difference between two very popular club heads because of their bottom bore to ground measurement and how it affects final length. And as my example, I have a shaft that's already got a grip on it, and for reference sake, it did come from a 3-wood. First up, Callaway Epic Flash Sub-Zero. Final playing length with a grip, just a hair over 43.5 inches. Now that's fairly standard if you're going to be building let's say a short driver. But let's compare it to the TaylorMade. Same shaft, nothing's changed except for that measurement, and now we're just a hair over 43 inches. So roughly a ½ inch difference between the two. Now again, if you're switching between different club models and you're using the same shaft, then you're going to see a big difference in length. That's going to affect the frequency of the golf shaft, which is the flex, and at the end of the day, it's going to affect the swing weight. So if you have two club head weights that are exactly the same, then one is actually going to feel substantially heavier because it has the mass further away from the end of the grip. And that's why this is so important to understand this measurement and how it affects the dynamics of a golf club. Let's go back to the whiteboard and talk about irons. So now that we've demonstrated how that measurement affects a driver, you can actually extrapolate that over an entire set of irons, which is why it's so important to understand what this measurement is in the golf clubs you're either looking to install shafts into or maybe pull shafts out of. Because if you go to, say, buy a used set of golf shafts for a set of irons, pullouts, that already have grips on them, that came from a set of golf clubs that were standard length, and you install them into your new clubs, they could play up to ½ inch short, or the other way around, could play ½ inch long. And if you invested in having the grips that were already on there, ready to go, now you have a set that's not even close to your spec. And length is one of the most important parts of making solid contact, just like lie angle and hopefully getting the right loft as well. So this is why it's so important to understand these measurements, because if you do make a mistake on one side or the other when looking at shaft measurements, you now have a set that is completely out of spec, and nobody wants that. And you have to go through extra processes either to cut it down or, which is not ideal, add extensions and then put new grips on, which means you could have potentially ruined the playing characteristics that you tried to create in the first place. So I hope you found this video useful. I always try and break down these kind of things as simple as possible so you understand it can take that knowledge to your next project. If you like this video, remember to hit the subscribe button below. We're always trying to do more of this stuff and help you become a more knowledgeable, educated golfer as far as your equipment. And as always, thanks for watching.